all of this could fail if you are not ready here. MFORE is a non-profit initiative offering mind conditioning programs in order to achieve peak performance in sports. Thanks for watching this brand new video by MFORE. Today we're going to be talking about sports psychology and the way it impacts performance of an athlete. To talk about this, we have Dr. Jarrod Spencer. He's coming from Pennsylvania, US. He will be on us here on a call, and he'll be sharing his views as a leading sports psychologist, as a speaker, an author, and consultant, a founder of the Mind of the Athlete, a sports psychology organization. And here are some of the excerpts from our interaction with him. In what way is general psychology different from sports psychology?
I think of sports psychology, it's really positive psychology, strength psychology. It's a lot of focus on what's working, why is it working, how's it working, how do we take a technique from somebody else and apply it to you so that you can elevate your performance. And so that's a little bit different than general psychology, which sometimes, not always, but sometimes general psychology can be focused on, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you struggling? Yeah. And how do we get you back to a baseline, feeling okay or good? But sports psychology tends to gravitate to the positive psychology, which is saying you're already pretty high functioning, you're doing well, but there's potential inside of you, and there's a lot to the mind that you could learn and apply to even go to higher levels and have more success.
How does sports psychology generally function? You know, there is a process to do everything in life as well. I think sports psychology wouldn't be any different. The trust needs to be there between the athlete and the sports psychologist, where he can open up for anything, outside of his own circle, who are all involved in his game.
We all need that confidant who's, not the wife or the girlfriend or the mom. It's got to be somebody that is kind of our own special person, that's the inside outsider, and can give us good sound advice and just allow us to vent. Technically, the term is called catharsis. And catharsis means a freeing of emotion, a freeing of repressed emotion. And too often as an athlete, we just suck it up, keep pushing through. We don't talk about it. We don't whine. We don't complain. But that doesn't mean we don't think about it at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And the more we can talk about our stuff, the more our mind gets clearer. It's like physical training. If you want to run faster, you're going to have to put in the work. If you want to stand up there at bat, and you want to have your mind in the moment, very clear, very focused, very confident, that requires mental training, which means you've got to put in the work. And you've got to do that in the off season, way before you stand up there to bat. Now, if somebody did stand up there to bat, yes, there are things that a person can do. Slow down your breathing, look at a particular thing in the stadium. Maybe there's a flag. And every time you see that flag, then you say to yourself something like, clear mind, or right here, right now, or just breathe, or I got this, I got this, I got this. And so we begin to anchor things that we think and say to ourselves, our self-talk, with things that are around us in the stadium, so that at that moment it could help us. And again, that becomes a habit and a practice as well.
Doctor, how exactly will the sports psychologist help the athlete? How will this take place? If the athlete is going through a lean patch or something is not going to this plan, the sports psychologist will come in. But how do you think this interference will take place?
So if you want to help an athlete, there's 2 ways to help them. Put in the knowledge by watching a video, listen to a podcast, or the inside out process, which is really the one-on-one of, when you're playing cricket, tell me exactly in that moment what you were thinking. What were you feeling before the game? What was going through your mind afterwards? How did you manage the loss? And that's the inside out process. So when you combine the outside in and the inside out, that's when an athlete will have the most success. Most people start with the outside in. It's easier.
Yeah.
But the inside out's really where the good work is done.
I have heard many cricketers tell me, even in my playing days, senior cricketers, clarity of mind is really important. And the present Indian cricket team captain Virat Kohli, speaking exclusively to M4, has mentioned that clarity of mind is the single most important thing for the youngsters of today. And of course, your wallpaper as well, Doc, says clearer mind. Can you elaborate a little bit on that clarity for us?
Well, where awareness grows, energy flows.
Oh, okay.
That's why you're doing such great work, is you are growing awareness.
Yes.
And now the energy is going to start to flow there from, this interview and others that are going to begin to throw some energy into athletes. And if we can help them tear down the stereotypes that maybe they have about talking to a sports psychologist or mental training, if we can give them great neuroscience, really good neuroscience about how this information is going to directly lead to better performance, now they may say, okay, I'm more open to this.
Yes.
And to your point about clarity, absolutely. We live in a culture and a society where, because of the cell phone in particular and social media, there's a flooded mind. There's such an influx of information that we've got to clear out the mind. We've got to simplify it. But most people don't want to take any more information in, because that's all they do all day long is take information in, but it's not the helpful information. So if we can get good, solid content to our followers, to our listeners, then they may say, okay, that's the stuff I really want to internalize. And so I believe that what you guys are doing is going to increase awareness and provide the clarity of the mind that people are desperately looking for, so that they can have a better performance.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot for that, Doc. And if there was one thing that is a non-negotiable, according to from a sports psychologist perspective, what would that be? That one thing, that number one thing for an athlete.
The number one factor in performance, the number one thing that is important for an athlete to do when it comes to the mind, is sleep. Because I can give you all the best mental training in the world, but if you're sleep deprived and you're tired, it doesn't matter what I said, because you're going to go negative in your head anyway. And so sleep is the number one factor in performance. And one of the most important things that I talk to athletes about is get good, consistent sleep. Every single night, go to bed the same time, wake up at the same time in the morning, keep your sleep as consistent as possible. Because if you do that, every day you're going to feel rested, you're going to be more optimistic, you're going to be mentally resilient, you're going to be able to receive feedback and criticism and coaching, you're going to be able to learn and internalize messages. But if you don't have the sleep in place, there's not a lot that the sports mind training is really going to do long-term for you. It's one of the most important things I talk to athletes about is, first, we get the sleep to be good and consistent. We need to understand the neuroscience of sleep. And once we get that really regulated, then everything else we talk about is going to be much better. Your focus, your emotional flexibility, mental flexibility, your resiliency, all of that will be better if sleep is feeling pretty good and a person's feeling pretty rested.
Interesting stuff, that Doc. But honestly, I think Doc, many athletes they struggle a little bit, to sleep the night before, because an important tournament, an important game is coming up. Somehow your mind just wanders over the game, and you end up being in a hotel room or not sleeping so much. So how does an athlete tackle this sort of an issue?
So the important thing to know is this: the night before an athletic competition, most people can't sleep well.
Yeah.
So we have to focus, right? 2 nights before the game that's the most important night's sleep. So 2 nights before, 3 nights before, very, very important. The night before, we might be sleeping in a hotel. We might just be anxious and nervous. And so nobody sleeps well the night before. And that's okay. It's normal. However, if we know that and we apply the idea that 2 and 3 and 4 nights before, we really want to focus on getting really good sleep, that's where we get the competitive advantage, right?
Okay.
And so that's how we do it. And so it's normal and natural, bad night the night before, but we want to get a good night's sleep the 2 nights before in particular.
Well, thanks for your time, Dr. Jarrod, and your wonderful insights on sports psychology. And thanks, viewers, for watching this video by M4. You can click on this link and subscribe for many more such wonderful videos. And thanks for watching. Take care.